There is no homeless in Iraq unless they choose to be homeless, and this almost never happens, because you will always have someone from your group, from your family, from your tribe, from your religious community, who will be able to support you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 207 of the Assyrian podcast. This is Steve, and I'm so excited to be here with you. For this episode, we're going to learn about reverse migration. I had the pleasure of interviewing Dilan from The Return. Assyrians left Iraq for good reason, but maybe it's time for them to go back for good reason. We're going to dive deep with Dilan about the why and the how of moving back to Iraq. His organization helps people with the process from A to Z, whether it's booking travel, finding lodging, a job, or any other aspect of relocating. What I love about Dilan and this interview is that he isn't a one-size-fits-all thinker. He understands the various positions, perspectives, and opportunities a move to Iraq presents. He also has the long view in mind. Imagine you decide to move to Iraq, and you find there's housing, office co-working spaces, legal counsel, and so much more to get you reconnected. This is just one of the many initiatives The Return is working on. After spending time with Dilan, I saw the firsthand integrity and impact of his work. I hope this interview offers you a new hope and excitement about what you can be a part of. This might be the most significant movement for Assyrians in hundreds of years, and we have a chance to be a part of it. Now, I want you to take a moment before we play the interview to challenge yourself, to really think about your life, where you're located, and open yourself up to the possibility of living, visiting, or at the very least, creating an opportunity for another Assyrian to move to Iraq by sharing Dilan's work. Perhaps this is the start of the great reverse migration. And now, here is Dilan. Man, first of all, I love this initiative. I love that there's a million and one things a person could do with their life, their time, their energy, and there's lots of different ideas. And probably the idea of, hey, I'm going to start an organization that's going to help Assyrian people return to Iraq. It's not something most people would jump into. So congratulations, and just want to begin by just saying, man, how spectacular that is.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support.
And also congratulations of being a 2-time guest on the Assyrian podcast, because you were on the previous a few episodes with with Miriam and the panel. So actually, when I heard you and I heard about the organization, that was when I messaged Miriam. I'm like, hey, you should do one just with Dilan. You got to have him back on. So I am honored that you would travel and you're here in Monterey and we get to have this time together.
Thank you. I'm also honored, and it's a pleasure to be here for the first time in the US for this tour, and here in your studio, in your home studio.
That's right.
For this unique interview. It's adventurous for me. Yeah, it's really cool.
And just so folks know, we met each other 3 hours ago.
Even less.
2 hours ago. But how long does it feel like we've known each other?
It's like we grew up together, I think.
Yeah, we went from, hi, I'm Steve, to, okay, now we're just talking. There's no pretense. I think that says a lot about who Assyrian people are.
Yeah.
It's very special.
Yeah, we connect very easily, and we have a shared culture and background and everything. Even if, as we said, you're Assyrian American, I'm Assyrian French, we are quite different. Our standards are different, but there is something in common between you and me and all the other people listening to us.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about how maybe for me, I've had so many Assyrian friends growing up, and you feel like just one of my friends I grew up with, a combination of all of them. But anyway, we could probably camp out and talk about that. I want to make sure we jump into the good stuff here. So first question for you for this interview is, what inspired you to start The Return, and how did your personal journey to Iraq influence its creation?
Yeah, I think it's more or less the same question in a way. I used to go there regularly with my family when I was young, when I was a teenager, and later I started going there for holidays, even for 1 week. And I was feeling that there was something attractive for me in this country, in this area. And I realized that many other people have this same feeling, but they cannot travel, for example, they cannot go, or they don't know where to start. So I said, I have challenges, but it's also easier for me because I have family there. But other people have the same challenges, but nobody's helping them, and nobody's understanding even their wish to go there. Like, no, their family don't understand why they want to go back there. Their friends may not understand, and inside our community, most of the people will not understand why you want to reconnect to this country that you escaped from,
Right.
or your family escaped from. So I said, okay, there is a trend, there is something. People, especially the young people all across the world, they want to reconnect. Some elderlies also want to go there, but they don't know where to start from because they don't have anyone remaining there. So all these people have different profiles, but some needs that I could identify. And I said, yalla, let's do it. Let's create this organization.
Yeah, what we talk about a lot, at least with the Assyrian podcast, is we need to solve problems. Like, what's a problem that exists in society, and then how do you serve that problem? And sort of what you tapped into is if anybody has a spark or a desire, or they find that, is something calling me back to Iraq or where my ancestors are from, there's 1,000,001 blockers. And you would be thinking, oh my gosh, like, that's a cool idea, maybe in another world. But here comes Dilan, who says, that's it. I'm going to help people with that. One thing, going back to your time in France, you moved there at a very young age.
I was 1 year old, yeah.
You're a highly educated person. You have 2 degrees.
So I have a bachelor in law and political sciences and a master degree in public business law. And I studied for 2 years. I studied Arabic at university there before moving to Iraq, because I knew I wanted to move to Iraq and I would need to speak Arabic. Yeah, that's what I have.
So this is not a person who wasn't able to succeed in France. This is a highly educated person who has an established life, and you make the decision to go to Iraq.
Yes, it was the beginning of my career, let's say. I was working in a law firm in Paris with a good situation, a nice environment in Paris. I think many people in America they would love to live like 1 month in Paris. Mm-hmm. So it was really good, but I was thinking about this. Do I want this life for the 40, 45 coming years? Like following this career, making money, probably having a loan to buy a house or an apartment somewhere, and that's it. Like, no bigger purpose in life. So for many people, I'm not judging, for many people that's ideal, that's perfect. I agree with that. For me, it was not. I wanted to have something bigger to think about, a goal, objectives to achieve. And even for myself, from a more egoist perspective, I wanted some more comfort that I could not find in the Western life, mm-hmm. in the routine, mechanical Western life. So I wanted something more focusing on human being, on social interactions. I think I'm quite social. So it was a real need for me, more than having a nice car or a big house or a good job. These needs that you cannot value with money are, for me, more important.
Absolutely. Was there a way that you could have created that for yourself in France, where maybe you said, okay, I'm going to stay here, but I'm going to avoid the rat race. I'm going to avoid, okay, I got to, buy the home and do all these things. But maybe you thought about that and you thought still you want to be around Assyrian people?
Yeah, definitely. Assyrian people. And I have to be clear about this. we are not from family very, as we say, Tanai, very patriotic, very
Yes.
nationalistic.
Your parents have Arabic names, right?
They have Arabic names, like most of the people from their generation in Iraq. But my grandparents have Christian names in Aramaic. So yeah, I don't come from this background. I wanted to be there, like with our people, of course, but also with other people, like the Kurds and Arabs who live there. We share a lot. We have a lot in common. We have similar standards. We have similar education, background, history at some point. So I wanted to be with people more or less like me, who share the same values, the same ideas, culture, standards. Yeah.
So you felt like the diversity in Iraq was the more suited to, it felt more like home to you than France.
Yeah, it was my diversity. Let's say the diversity I'm close to.
And your parents didn't raise you with an Assyrian flag in your face and always talking to you about being Assyrian and...
No, absolutely not. And I usually tell people we're not Umtanai, but at a point we are more Umtanai than many others, because we didn't have any flag at home, not French, not Iraqi, not Assyrian, not Chaldean, no flag at home. But we used to go there as much as possible. And at home, we only speak Surat with my parents, 100%. And so in this way, we were more patriotic than what they imagine themselves. If I tell my parents, you are patriotic people, they will say no. But in fact, they are.
Yeah. We've seen that same phenomenon in the States where you see families that are very proud of being Assyrian and they're very outspoken about being Assyrian, but their kids can't speak Assyrian.
Yes.
Or their kids resent it. They don't like it. On the other side, you have some people who maybe you never even see them show up to things, but man, they know how to enjoy and live out their Assyrian identity. Yeah. It's really hard to be aware that you're doing this. And I do think that part of your organization, The Return, I would not be surprised of how many people who maybe they resented it growing up, but it was not because it was bad. It was because of the way it was presented to them. And maybe they're going to be a candidate that says, hey, this is the right thing for me. I want to go and enjoy this part of my own identity. I don't know, that's just me dreaming out loud.
No, definitely, I like that. You have the right to dream. Now it's time to make these dreams come true. I say in my lectures in the US, we should stop asking and start acting. That's as simple as that.
I mean, to me, I've never visited Iraq. I also wanted to share with you that I had done some digging in my own family history, and my parents are from Iran. My great-grandfather is from Iraq.
Okay.
And up until I learned that, I never felt a connection as an Assyrian whose parents are from Iran. I was born in Turlock and grew up in an Assyrian community, Assyrian household. I never felt a connection with Iraq. And I've never visited. I hope to at some point. But I always thought Iran is where, my parents are from. But it wasn't until my grandma explained, I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, yeah, your grandpa, his dad was from Iraq. And I said, oh, wow, I guess we are from Iraq. We're all originally somehow from there, but I didn't realize it was that close.
Because these connections existed before this state existed, like Iran and Iraq and Turkey. They were in the Ottoman Empire, the Persian Empire, and other empires before. So, of course, it's, as we said before, it's very diverse, very nuanced. So a family moving from here to there creates a new household, a new generation of people, of mixed people. So it depends. And I know there are many people, especially here in the US, who come from very diverse backgrounds, like Assyrians from Syria and Assyrians from Iran. And at a point, some of the grandparents, as you said, were in Iraq. It's really interesting, and it's quite new for me because in my family it was much more stable, like much more in Iraq, in Ankara. So I was not even aware until a few years ago that we had all this diversity of people here.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the phrase, we've been scattered among the nations, so we're truly everywhere. And as far as the return to Iraq, one of the things I appreciate about your work is that there's a lot of hype around Iraq with Assyrians. Oh man, if you just go, you're going to feel something you've never felt before. And this is where you feel amazing. And we've heard that. And that's something we even at the Assyrian podcast, we promote that through Gishru and through anyone who goes and visits. But then there's always been like, okay, but what does that mean for Assyrians and Iraq? Will we ever have a real presence there? Because I guess going and visiting is like a good thing to do.
It's a starting point.
It's a starting point.
Yeah.
It seems like your organization and how you're thinking about things is like the most tangible way of Assyrians actually having their homeland again, or parts of their homeland, is to be in the homeland.
Yeah, exactly. And until a few decades ago, we used to have this homeland. As we said, in the Middle East, most of the countries are not built on one ethnicity or on one religion. Theoretically, everybody should be able to consider this land as their land. And it used to be like this until a few years ago, until a few decades ago. 20 years ago, we had 1.5 million, up to 1.5 million Assyrians living in Iraq. Now it's 150,000. So we used to be everywhere, like not only in the north of Iraq, north of Mesopotamia, which is the traditional area occupied by or ruled by Assyrians 4,000 years ago. We had Assyrians everywhere, in Basra, in Baghdad, in Kuk, in everywhere. And all these places were home. You don't need to have a place called exactly your name to consider it as your home. It's like the US. You have many communities, many ethnic groups and religions, and everybody calls the US home. So we had this. Now we still have this. The problem is the number is so low that it's not very significant anymore. We are at risk of disappearing completely from this ancestral land. Yeah.
So there was a sense in which, like, all of Iraq, wherever Assyrians were, that was their land, that was their home, which sounds good in theory. Okay, because I've never visited Iraq, right? In some ways, I'm the worst person to do this interview. But in other ways, I think it's good because you can see how uneducated some of us are and how much we don't really understand what's happening there. But now there's about 150,000 Assyrians there. Let me ask you this. If 50,000 Assyrian people in the US, in Canada, in Australia, they say tomorrow, that's it, I'm booking my flight. And the next 4 months we have flights and everyone's moving back. What does that do for Assyrian people in Iraq?
That will be huge. Like 50,000, it will be huge. If you have 1,000 people, that will already be very impactful because all these people will come with different perspective. I'm not saying there's one better than another, but just different. And the people who will come there are people who are motivated by something, and they have ambition, and they have this other citizenship which protects
What if they don't? Like, I don't have any citizenship.
No, but you have the American one, at least.
That's right. So what value would that be?
You can be a bit more protected there, in a way, a bit more free to do some things. So 1,000 or 50,000 people going there, as you said, imagine every single one will have a job or create a job, create a company, start a company, a business. They're employing people, all the people there, learning again the language, speaking again Surat in the daily life.
Don't most of the people speak Arabic?
There?
Yeah.
We speak everything. We speak Surat and only Surat in our daily life with our friends and relatives. And then at work, you speak Arabic and Kurdish. And in some cities, you also speak Turkmani. And that's it. All the people I know there, all the Assyrians, speak at least 3 languages. Like Surat as the mother tongue, Arabic as the language of the country, Kurdish when they live in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And usually the youth, all of the youth, they speak perfectly English. So yeah, at least 4 languages fluently.
Okay. If I want to start a business in Iraq and this business is going to serve all the different groups, is that possible as an Assyrian to launch a successful business?
Of course, many successful businesses are owned by Assyrians there. I mentioned the radio I work
Babylon
in. Yeah.
FM.
So the owners, the managers are Assyrians.
Is it
But it's
only
not,
serving Assyrian people?
absolutely not. It's not an Assyrian radio. It's not even an Assyrian radio. It's a generalist radio, and the shows are in English mostly. I also have a French show on this radio.
You do a French
Yes.
show? Very
Yeah,
cool.
on this radio, La French Touch, and it's not targeting one community or another. It's just all of us.
One thing that I know my parents, for example, they came to this country because they wanted to give their kids freedom, education, and they did. They were successful. My family, we've been very successful in what we were brought here for, right? We all got good jobs, good families, all these kinds of things. And is there a sense in which if you were to move to Iraq, you can do the same? If you're married and you got 2 kids, if you go to Iraq, is that a better choice for those kids or to stay in the US?
Before answering, let me ask
Yeah.
you: are you free when you have a 30 years mortgage to reimburse and a credit score to take care of, and 3 hours a day commuting for work? Are you really free in this situation, or are you just in a system which is good or bad, but you cannot get out of this system easily? So freedom can have different perspectives, and I realized that there is another type of freedom there. Life is more flexible. That doesn't mean there's no struggle. We have a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges, but we have another form of freedom because our life is not built on work. Many people who come, like even the young people who come with Gishru and other organizations, they say we feel that here, I mean in Iraq, we work to live, but in the West, we live to work. Like the main purpose is working and having your career. So yeah, just this, I think it's important to mention, or the standards or the things that we consider as obvious may not be that true at a point. And about the family coming back, we have situations like this. So the ones I told you, the radio I work in, they came from Netherlands. Their children were 10 years old. They put them at school. We have similar cases from Sweden. Recently, 1 month ago, a friend moved from the US to Iraq. He bought a house, and his child is 14 years old. He's now at school. In school, the teaching is all in English. And his wife and his son are now starting to learn Arabic because they need to. They spend all their lives in the US. They need to, so they can integrate this society. But yeah, it's possible, of course. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's possible.
Absolutely. I've always loved the image that a bird is only as free as the Birdland Committee says. A bird looks like it's free, but it has its own rules that it has to follow. And in the United States, we talk about freedom. My parents came here and then they had to take a job in the plant working. But there is a way in which, especially in the United States, your job, it's more than work. It's part of your expression of your goodness that you can provide in the world. Especially, for example, Christianity teaches that your work is a divine gift that's been given to you to do. But at the same time, there's the idea you live in America, you're going to work overtime.
Yeah.
So there's a balance. And I think what I'm hearing from you is you're saying we're very balanced in Iraq.
Yeah, even we don't try to. The society is like this. The work-life balance is not an objective as we developed it in the West. The work-life balance to compensate what we did for the past 50 years to the workers. So the work-life balance is just natural there. You stop working and you start living.
Yeah.
I feel there that I have 2 days in one day, like the working day, and then I have another day for doing whatever I want. And every single day I see my friends, I see my relatives, I have some tea with an uncle and an aunt, and I have several jobs. And in the night, we still have time to go to what we call the nadi, the club, for sharing some good moments, good food, good drinks, interesting discussions, usually. Yeah, that's what makes us feel alive, in a way.
All right. Most of this interview, we know we focus on a lot of the positives, a lot of the good stuff. But I think anybody that's like listening to this, they're thinking, are you kidding me? Iraq is a war zone and it's a war-torn country. And Assyrians have been leaving there in droves. And especially in the last 5-6 years, shoot, if that number dropped from 1.5 million to 150,000, and now we have Dilan saying, everybody move back. Help us understand, like, why should we feel safe in Iraq?
So the daily life is safe. But as you say, we have a lot of challenges. And the ones who are still emigrating now, they do it for several reasons. First, we all have so many people abroad, outside the country. So it's attractive. We hear cousins saying, come to Sydney, it's so cool, we do this, we do that. And the others saying, come to Germany, we have a good life, good jobs. And the others come to California, we have sun and the Pacific Ocean. We have all these people pushing on this. And also there is a lack of confidence in the future of the country, because in the past decades we've seen ISIS, before that the American invasion, before that the embargo, before that the Kuwait war, before that the Iran war, and before that all the political problems with dictators and coups. So people say every 10 years we have something. And many people told me in Iraq, like, it's been 10 years since Daesh came. So there's probably something happening now, because we cannot stay calm for such a long time. So these are the challenges. The main thing is that people want to leave. Most of the people are happy there, but they want to have a guarantee.
Stability.
And stability, and also a second passport for the day they got to run. They can do it in this way. But if you can buy an American citizenship, for example, or a European citizenship, maybe half of the people who are now leaving will not leave, because they'll say, okay, I have this in my pocket. Whenever it's needed, I can use it.
I see.
Yeah. But most of the people leaving now, they're leaving because of this. Because they are just afraid of what will happen next.
Yeah. So you're saying it's a beautiful country. It's very safe. And yet there's always in the back of your mind, when's the next thing going to happen? Yeah. And it's better to get out early than to not be able to get out when you need to get out. So if you had a second citizenship and you knew if war breaks out, good, I got 2 weeks, I could get out of here. I got a month, I can get out of here. You think more people would be like, yeah, I'm not going to leave here unless I have to.
Yeah. And that's why us coming from abroad, we have this capacity that people there may not have.
So we can redo the entire country if we really wanted to.
If you want, everybody can come back, and because we have this security, this guarantee in our pocket, this second passport.
One of the things I heard is that Assyrians in Iraq who are educated and they're smart Assyrians, they struggle to find jobs in Iraq. Can you comment on some of that?
It's not easy to find a job or a good job, because since 2003, we are not in a totally failed state. But it used to be, in the 2000s, it used to be a failed state. Today, it's a weak state with multiple powers in conflict, let's say, multiple sources of power. So that's why. But until the 80s, despite the Iran-Iraq war, we had a strong industry, we had strong everything, we were self-sufficient in everything, almost everything. The situation now directly linked to what happened in 2003 and the 12 years of embargo before that. So the chaos created this insecurity in terms of work. Otherwise, it's not much different. For example, me, after my master in France, I was looking for a job for 1 year, 1 full year jobless, until I found something appropriate, and through networking. So like everywhere else, you need to be smart. You need to knock at the doors until you find something. It's not easy, of course. For example, if you're an IT engineer, I have some relatives there. There are IT engineers. There's not much job in IT engineering because there's not much companies doing this. But imagine someone like you, someone like an Assyrian, a successful Assyrian in the US, goes there and after a while starts a business and hire some people from there. It will be different narrative.
I agree. It sounds to me like if you have an entrepreneurial attitude, it's a good place to be because if it's recovering, if it's in a weak state, the strong can come in and do good. But having an entrepreneurial attitude, it's amazing. Assyrians in America have done that. Assyrians in America have done very spectacular things. And a lot of it is because they had the opportunity. And they were able to rise through the ranks at different companies. So you have Assyrians at the top level of the most powerful organizations in the world. You really do. I was shocked to see that the guy who interrogated Saddam Hussein after he was captured is an Assyrian. Mm-hmm. So you see Assyrian people in the US, they have flourished just a bunch. And I'm wondering if those people are in Iraq, can they become the CEO, the president of a large organization? Are there examples of that now?
We have the people who are successful here, their families were probably also successful in their countries of origin. We have this, I would not say in our DNA, but we've always had this culture of starting something, of launching something, being ambitious. So today we still have in Iraq many successful Assyrians who started their own businesses. So it exists, yes, for sure. Today, the political situation is a bit more complicated, let's say, in Iraq. So that will be something challenging for an entrepreneur there, but not that much. You can find a way to work. Like we mentioned a lot, the corruption there. We have very few taxes, but we have a lot of corruption, of clear corruption. In the West, we also have corruption, but it's hidden or made in a legal way. But there, it's very obvious. It's clear. You can identify very easily who is corrupted, why, and how. And we have very few taxes. So in a way, the corruption, what you pay, the price you pay for corruption, it can even be less than taxes in the West. I'm not saying it's a good thing. Don't understand me wrongly. But it's a very bad thing, of course. I'm just saying it's not black or white.
Yeah, you find people even here in the States that say, oh my gosh, the taxes in California is so high. And then they go to another state where they don't have taxes. But if you're a homeowner, you're going to pay a lot more taxes.
Yeah.
But if you're not a homeowner, fine. It was the right choice for you. So at the end of the day, whether you're in Iraq or you're in California, you're going to pay. Everybody's going to pay.
Everywhere. It's normal. You're part of a society. You're not just an individual coming from nowhere and going nowhere. We are all part of a society and we need to live together. So we have to share some things, some incomes, so we can have public services, so we can have many other benefits. That's actually a political sciences debate, but yeah, definitely anywhere else you have to share something.
I want to talk about, I'd say, a more sensitive topic, land grabbing. In my mind, I bought a home in Iraq. It's a nice home. I've been living in it for 5 years. Somebody can show up to my door with a machine gun and say, you got to leave. This is my house now. Tell me, is that what's going on?
No, absolutely not. Like in 99.99% of cases, it's not like that at all. It happened in the 2000s during the civil war between the Shia and the Sunni, especially in the south, in Baghdad. People left, especially Christians. Many Christians were targeted in Baghdad. For example, the ones owning liquor shops.
That's right.
Yeah. So this happened at that time, like a family escaping from this city. And after a few years, that someone else is living in this house with no rights on this land, on this house. So it happened. It was very specific. In some villages, it's usually local, very localized conflict between two villages or between tribes neighboring tribes. So it's very limited. Otherwise, you buy land there, it's your land. You do whatever you want there.
Obviously, unless there's like an ISIS situation.
Yes, exactly. Unless there's, we don't have small problems, we have huge problems. Like we don't have criminality in the daily life.
Yeah.
But if you have something, it's like a terrorist group and
I see.
wars. Yeah. But no, don't worry. Like I live in Ankara, we have our house, and everybody there has a house. Nobody is knocking at the door saying you should leave. No, absolutely not.
So, so during ISIS, that did happen. People had homes. Those homes got taken over.
Yes, so they left, they escaped from ISIS. Like imagine 50,000 people or even more actually leaving an area, Mosul and the suburbs, the Nainawa plain, living for somewhere else. But after 3 years, for example, if you go to Bardeda in the Nainawa plain, it used to be the biggest Christian city in Iraq. Now it may be the second or third. So they all left, but after 3 years, they came back, and many houses were destroyed, maybe half of the houses, but they were still their houses, their property. So they escaped, but in this case, they could come back. They still had this property.
Right. In the U.S., they have squatters.
Yes, same.
So
Europe
people,
too.
when you're not home, they move in. If you're gone for a few weeks or a month or something, and now you're going to court to battle because it's under yours, but they have some legal right. So what I'm hearing you say is that most of the time in Iraq, you're going to be able to live a comfortable life. If there's any kind of a major war, which unfortunately over the last 100 of years, it's always something. And now it has a reputation. But could we be at the start of a new 100-year period for Iraq where it becomes this flourishing land, it becomes a land of opportunity? Are you proposing that could be happening?
Let's be clear, no, it will not happen this way.
Why not?
It's because it's always nuanced, and because it's a diverse country and region of the world with many different ethnic groups, with many different trends and religions and backgrounds.
So there's going to be conflict.
Not conflict, but tensions, like continuous tensions. Even within the same ethnic group, we have tensions. Not only us. The Assyrians have, the Kurds have, the Arabs have tensions inside their own group. The Christians have, the Muslims have. So I will not say, I'll never say that we have 100 years of peaceful relations in this part of the world. It's all about nuances, and at the same time we will enjoy a lot. But yeah, we keep in mind that it can evolve quite quickly.
I think at the end of the day, tension is okay.
Yeah,
we have tension here. I live in Monterey. It's supposed to be a peaceful place. But you saw on our way here that, there's people with signs that are protesting one thing or another. On the other side, someone's protesting nothing, especially during an election cycle that we're in. Lots of tension. And in the U.S., at least, this tension, I would say by most people recognize that it's a part of the pendulum has to swing, and it's a part of the ongoing conversation. And you get a new president every 4 years or max 8 years, and this is how this country operates. I think that the trouble is the idea of major loss. Like, I just lost my house because, man, the president I wanted didn't get elected. Or family member got killed because a radical group came through. Though that's to me where it's okay, this is not where I want to build my life and my family. How do you respond to that?
were you talking about the Iraq or the US?
See? Yeah. So
no, it's a real question.
I get it. I've heard from a few people that, hey, the U.S. is actually more dangerous than Iraq.
It is in our daily lives. It is. Like yesterday, someone in Los Angeles told me one of their relatives were in a shooting in a school, a child. So it's traumatizing for the whole family. And the criminality you have here, the addictions people may have here, all these problems exist here. So we have problems everywhere. We had in France, you have here in the US, we have in Iraq, in Iran. Yeah, I cannot even answer this. It exists everywhere. But because the diaspora is far from the homeland, when you're far from something, you do not get the nuances. So you think it's all risky, it's all dangerous. Like for European, we also believe that US is very dangerous. If you walk in the street, you can be killed or aggressed. Or that's what many people in Europe believe, or even in the Middle East. Like when I came here, my relatives, my family, my friends told me, be careful with people have guns.
Mm-hmm.
People are maybe aggressive. People are high, addicted to drugs, and it can be very conflictual or even dangerous. People have the same perspective when they do not live in a place. So it's always easier to keep in mind the bad sides.
Agreed. The level of violence in the U.S., even in some of the most heinous, although school shootings, things like this is evil, this is terrible no matter where you live. But I've been raised to believe that I'm significantly safer in the United States of America than most anywhere else, especially Iraq. And you would argue back and say you're misinformed.
I will not say misinformed. We're all misinformed. We all live in a bubble, which is the education we had and the country we grew up in, which is completely normal. Platon developed this, the philosopher Platon. It's called the cavern of Platon. We all live in this
Bubble.
Yeah, definitely. There, you've been educated in believing that it's safer here. It depends on which perspective. So, for example, in terms of wars, because the US is the most powerful army in the world, nobody will invade you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they will invade Iraq. So, in terms of this, yes, definitely. But in terms of anything else, economic.
How's the courts? If my neighbor, if I'm in Iraq and my neighbor does something to me and I disagree with them, what happens? How do you settle these disputes?
Most of the disputes or the problems are solved through negotiation, especially in Iraq because it's a tribal country.
Mm-hmm.
So most of especially the Muslims, they have tribes. So they solve their conflicts with the head of the tribes discussing together. And it's very efficient. It's quite efficient, honestly.
But wouldn't we, as Assyrian people, aren't we the weaker state in terms of our representation?
We're a bit weaker because we're not tribal, not because of the representation. The tribal system is completely parallel to the standard system. So we have jurisdictions, we have courts, we have everything.
We have rights.
We have rights. We have a very strong law inspired by French and Egyptian law. The Iraqi law but it's more efficient to negotiate in everything, even crimes. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not a good thing, but many times it is a good thing. You can complain to the one who did something to you. You can complain to his family, and they will find a way to solve this situation. And in case you still have the courts and everything.
What about insurance?
Same. When Iraq was a strong country, we had strong insurances. Now, in the country, 99% of the people don't have car insurance, including me. I don't have a car insurance. So when something happens, again...
You got to figure it out.
You negotiate. Yeah, same.
And then hospitals. If I'm in Iraq and I develop a sickness... Let's just say I get cancer. How is the treatment? How is all that?
In theory, again, we have one of the best care system in the Middle East. And that was true until the 90s when the embargo started. And after 2003, because of the chaos in the country, we lost many things. The public decision makers didn't invest much in the health system. So you have a lot of private clinics. It's much less expensive than here, of course. I can go to a doctor for around $15, even a specialist like a neurologist or wherever, and have an appointment the next day or the same day. But about the public system, it still exists. In some areas it's better. For example, in Baghdad it's better than in other cities. It's weak because nobody's investing in this, because for the past 20 years the ones in charge of the country didn't want to develop this public service, the health public service. They wanted to make money. So it's a bit chaotic. But still, if people have illness, you still have the public hospitals who can take care of you.
Yeah. I feel like I've tried to bring the hardest questions I could bring. And what I've heard from you is, look, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, if you're a go-getter, and if you have the passion and the desire, it's a wide open country ready for opportunity.
Not that much for living opportunities, for going there, for enjoying life. But when you go there, you have to change your perspective, your standards, your paradigms. The paradigm there is...
So you're not going to go there to get rich.
You may, but if you go for this purpose, I would say you can get richer here. Mm-hmm. You can do much more here. Stay here. If you go there, we want you as a human being there, not only your money. Mm-hmm. We want you as an Assyrian being there, having an impact, enjoying life also for yourself. That's the main thing. You go there because you want to have a different perspective in life. If you go there and just copy-paste your American way of life or my French way of life, just stay where you are, because it will be more efficient to live this life. Yeah, if you go there, you have to be able to think outside the box, to think outside what you learned for all your life.
And then how much does the Assyrian factor come to play? So if I move there and I realize, okay, I'm not going to be able to become the president I'm not going to work my way up, because I'm going to get time to enjoy life. I'm going to get more time to go on walks. I'm going to have time to connect with family and friends and encourage each other and do the things that humans were made to do, play a little bit. So I'm there and I'm doing that. It sounds like there's also another major blessing of knowing that as an Assyrian, I'm helping preserve our heritage by being in that region. Would you say that's another massive benefit for the opportunity to be in Iraq?
It depends on the scale you focus on. If it's the collective scale, yes, it's a benefit to have more of our people there rather than anywhere else in the world, definitely. From your individual scale, it's up to you to decide what the success means. And for me, definitely, it's what you mentioned, the human aspects of life rather than materialistic aspects. For me, these are the right, the ones which means success for me.
Do you have a bridge program for people? So maybe they're saying, hey, I don't want to sell everything and move, but let's do 3 months. And then after that 3 months, I could come back to the US, spend a couple years here planning my longer move. The thing I'm excited about with your organization is you're just getting started, and this could really grow into a massive organization with lots of different departments. One department can be youth sports and helping parents who have kids that want to get their kids into youth sports. How do you help them to sign up? Have you thought about all the different possibilities of your organization?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you're mentioning that. We are a young organization, but we are an ambitious organization. And we want to achieve everything you just mentioned. We are already doing this through case management. So every single person interested in returning, we start with an interview with this person or this family to understand what's the project, what are the motivations, how aware they are of the situation there. What do they have? Do they have assets? Do they have everything? They have an income from abroad, which will allow them to move there and be flexible about everything, to take time to integrate. or are they like young people with no income? So when they go there, they immediately need a job to be able to live. So we have all this diversity in the profiles of returnees, let's say. We try to support all of this. And in the future, one of our big projects include what you mentioned. So supporting the returnees in their social life, supporting the ones who want to have a remote job with a co-working space there, support temporary housing. This is one of our projects. It's called the Hub. In this hub, you will have 10 apartments, maybe 15, maybe 20, it depends on the fundings we have. Small apartments for transitional returnees or people who want to, like you, for example, if you want to go there 3 months a year, you may not be able to buy a house or an apartment, and at the same time you don't want to stay at the hotel, and you may not be able to rent a place for only 3 months. So we want to provide these people this temporary housing with flexible situations and a co-working space and a place for learning language and a place for gathering and exchanging energies and ideas and discussions, not only you coming from abroad, but also our local community. A lot of people want to meet, to connect, and that's how I think we can create a virtuous circle out of that. So that's one of our biggest projects in the near future.
So I'm going to ask you a question that we talked about a little bit earlier before the interview. You create this beautiful facility and it's innovator space and it's a place to connect. And then you've also got a beautiful Airbnb that people could stay, especially I think one of the biggest blessings to people in the diaspora, man, if you could send your kids to Iraq for a summer, they're working on the farm, they're speaking Assyrian, these are programs that are enriching. That would help your kids, whether they're proud of their Assyrian heritage or not. These are good things for people to have in their life. What's going to stop all the other ethnicities in Iraq and every other group to say, hey, we want to send our kids. You don't have room for the diaspora kids.
So the organization is now targeting our people to do that for some obvious reasons, because we are a minority. We are not, even our people don't speak the main language. They speak Surat, they don't speak Kurdish and Arabic for most of them. So we have, let's say, some specific needs and some specific background and issues, and we have people who left 70 years ago, whereas most of the Kurds and Arabs left more recently, let's say. So it's quite specific, and there it's fine there in Iraq to have programs specifically targeting one group, one community. It's normal. We have this culture there. But at the same time, when Assyrians come to this place, to this hub, let's say, our role is also to help them mix with the other people living there. And that's important because that's the reality we live in. And that's the only sustainable way to stay there. We cannot stay just in our bubble, as we said. We have to mix with everyone. That doesn't mean we erase our identity. That only means that we are realistic and we need to live peacefully with the people around us.
When you've mentioned other ethnic groups in Iraq, it's actually come with a place of optimism of, hey, these are our allies. These are our friends. These are people who are impressed. They like us. Can you speak to that further? Can you share, is this a time of hope for Assyrian people with other ethnic groups? Can we say that they are wanting to be positive towards Assyrians and help them? Or is it, you guys are second-class citizens, you really don't even belong here?
It's up to us. It depends on how we understand each situation. For example, there, when about speaking Surat, Assyrian, Syriac, whatever you call it, there they call it Masihi. Masihi means Christian, and even our people there.
Like Messiah, is that like a word for Messiah, like Christians?
Masihi means Christian.
Yeah,
literally
okay.
Comes from Masih. Yeah, Jesus himself. So they will say Masihi, and you have two options in this situation. When someone tells you you're speaking Masihi, you can be annoyed and say, look, he's trying to erase my culture. Or the other option is to say, okay, he has never heard about something else. He's always heard about Masihi. So it's an opportunity actually for me to tell this person, okay, our religion is Masihi and our language is something else. It's called something else. And every time I did that, people were happy to learn this. They were living in their own bubble. We all live in a bubble. They were living in their bubble. It was probably the first time, for example, they met or discussed with someone who is not from their community, and they're curious, and they just don't know, or sometimes they know. But in all the cases, it's up to us to make it something positive or make it a reason to complain.
I love that. I want to go down the path a little further with you on that. So ideally, we as Assyrian people, we'd be very proud of who we are, and yet we wouldn't be arrogant, and we would have humility, and we would recognize that being Assyrian is not something that someone can really take away from us, so we don't need to feel threatened. So if somebody says, hey, why are you speaking this Christian language? You're in a Muslim country. We'd say, no problem. What do you need from me? How do I serve you to show you what kind of people we are? And part of that, like you said, is education. And there'll be some people that will be happy you educated them. And there's some people that will say, I heard that a million times, and they'll be very mean.
It happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere. It happens here.
This kind of people all the time, everywhere. Yeah.
I have people, if you tell them you're Republican, they hate you. They think you're a terrible person. Yeah. You tell them you're Democrat, they hate you. They think you're a terrible person. They think you're dumb. Exactly. They don't even want to chat. It doesn't matter. Oh, you're voting for this person? Let me tell you for 5 hours what kind of idiot you are. Yeah. You're right. This is everywhere. And you're saying, look, if we just adopt that same mindset to the struggles of Assyrian people being an ethnic minority, we can be successful. However, here's the argument you people are going to make. You keep being friendly with those people. Next thing, you're going to intermarry. You're going to start families with these people. And the Assyrian identity, gone. Because you decided you were going to be friendly. Your other option is you just mind your own business. What do we do?
What you just mentioned happens much more in the diaspora than in Iraq. You get my point? You're getting it.
Elaborate.
So we mix with other communities in the diaspora much more than in Iraq, because in Iraq everybody's aware that we live in the same country, we are citizens of the same country.
But you don't mix.
We don't mix, and it has always been like this. Hundreds of years ago, you had, or even a few decades ago, you had Jews, you had Christians, and Muslims and Kurds and Arabs. People would mix within their religion usually. For example, Kurds and Arabs used to mix somehow. Jews and non-Jews, no. Christians and non-Christians, no. And Muslim and non-Muslims, very rarely. So no, it's not a problem. There you have a separation between the public space and the private space. Mm-hmm. So in the public space, you're with everyone. For me at work, for example, where I work, all the people around me from everywhere are from everywhere in Iraq, from all ethnicities, all religions. And we strongly appreciate each other.
There's an unwritten rule. You're not going to go, they're not going to try to mix. They're not going to go date each other.
No, they're not going to get married. Yeah, definitely. So it's normal there. Like we coexist, but we don't mix in the private life, which means mostly
But that's
marriage.
not 100%, right?
There's
always exceptions.
Almost 100%. There are some exceptions, like from time to time you hear that someone converted to another religion, but it's like once every 6 months, once a year, maybe in, I don't know where, a village or a city, or very specific situations. It's very rare.
Do you think that will change in time? Because I'm wondering, Why would that be that way here in the US or in diaspora, but not like that in Iraq? Why? What's the difference?
In social sciences, the difference is that the US and most of the Western countries are individualistic countries. So individuals do whatever they want. But in the Eastern cultures, especially in the Middle East, we are holistic societies. And holistic societies means that the unit measure is not the individual, is the group, which means the family or the tribe. So we would have less individual freedom, let's say, because we are part of a group. But this is mostly for the better for us, for all of us as individuals.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the main explanation.
I buy it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in the United States of America, it's
Me, myself, and I. There's a song about this.
That's right. And there's a lot of value. It's not completely a terrible thing because it's created some of the best things in the world. It's given us there's so much that has come out of having that builder mentality and having that ability to say I can do what I want to do. But you're right, there's a balance, right? And even in Iraq, maybe you could say they're so community minded that they're not progressing as quickly as they could. Would you say maybe there's some truth there, or would you say no, actually we're progressing together quite well?
Again, it depends on what you put under the word progressing.
Yeah.
From a human perspective or from a business perspective or in terms of technologies, of course, it's completely different. So individualism or holistic societies and individualistic societies are not good or bad. They are just different. And the opportunities you have in one system will not exist maybe completely in the other system. And the contrary is true too. So, for example, one of the good sides, let's say, of the holistic system is that we don't have homelessness in Iraq. There is no homeless in Iraq unless they choose to be homeless, and this almost never happens because you will always have someone from your group, from your family, from your tribe, from your religious community who will be able to support you. And even the government, until now, they still distribute to each Iraqi citizen, package including rice, tomato sauce, and some basic needs that you may have every month to the people. You still have this. So you will never die of hunger there, and you will almost never be homeless in this country. But of course, in terms of individual freedom and free will, let's say, it's not as much as in the West, for sure.
It's fascinating in the U.S. that as you drive by homes, often you might see everybody's got their home painted a different color and it's got this special little design in front of it. And I've often said, man, it's as if everybody wants to have their own little kingdom. And it's sad because it's cool. You have your home and you might have cool statues in your home or expensive things in your home, but do you have visitors in your home? I also think that pitching the idea that there's a fantasy land where people don't have to work as much and they get to just relax and just be with each other. And then the people who want to be ambitious can be ambitious, and the people that want to relax and enjoy life can just relax. I don't know, would you say that's not a fantasy? That's the reality?
Yes, but at the same time, I would rather say take the best from both sides. If you go there just to relax and stop working and do nothing in your life, no, that's not a successful life neither. If you have enough money to do that, okay, why not do it? But we would like to have active people and people the ones who come there, they will still have a connection with their other country. And that's very positive. I don't want people to abandon everything they have in life and move to Iraq. And we tell people, be careful about this. Come step by step. So Yeah, it's not a fantasy. It exists, but the fantasy is imagining that this world is an ideal Assyrian land paradise. This is a fantasy, and this is wrong.
If I move there and I got, how much money do I need to buy a house? Buy it and own it. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath home.
A house like this in Ankawa, which is next to Erbil, in the suburbs of Erbil, and now it's the biggest Christian community in Iraq. This house will be between, let's say, 100 and $200,000 to buy.
How about utilities? How much am I paying each month for gas, electricity, and internet?
Internet, I pay $20 a month.
Do you guys have Starlink?
We have fiber optic.
Okay. Internet's good there?
In most of the places, yes.
Sorry, I'm a tech guy, man.
No,
That's
no,
all we think about.
I agree. It's important for remote workers, for example. They need that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, internet, for example, I have fiber optic. You have package depending on the speed you need. For $20 a month, I have this package. It's around, I can't remember, but maybe 50 MBS.
Okay. Yeah, 50 down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's enough for 99% of the users. If you want
Yeah,
something...
I think I have 90 or something, but like 50 is fine.
Yeah, you can have 150 for maybe $40 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can play my video games.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the 50, 60, you can play your video games. We have a lot of people playing there online. So
What's the popular video game there?
many, at a point it was PUBG, like Fortnite, if you remember.
Okay, yeah.
Many people play FIFA, of course, football.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike. I wanted to say Desert Storm, but I'm very old. So
Desert Strike, I think it was called. Yeah, Counter-Strike.
No, Counter-Strike,
Call
yes,
of
but
Duty?
there was a game in the 2000s. It was called Desert Storm. It's something else. No, I meant Call of Duty. And so the younger generation, they all play Fortnite. Yeah.
Man, $150K gets me a paid-off house and $40 a month for super fast, crazy internet.
Yes, and electricity will cost, so it depends on how many amperes you want. So you have the state electricity and the private electricity. You need to have both because the state electricity is not 24 hours so far. So you have both. The state electricity is maybe $10 a month, but the private one is around $10 by ampere. So it depends. Most of the houses will have between 4 and 12 amperes. So let's say around $100 if you have 10 amperes.
What about water?
Water is almost free. It's available in most of the areas. Some areas are quite dry. Some neighborhood, very specific neighborhood, are a bit dry. So it can be complicated. But if you buy a house, you just don't buy a house in this area and you should be fine with this. And it's very affordable, like a few dollars per month.
And from everything we've talked about, I love your hope and excitement about Iraq, and it's quite compelling. And I can't see anything but you over the next several months and years just creating so many bridges. And I think your idea of it's perfect for people in the diaspora who have citizenship to go back because you become quite powerful with that. Because you truly become quite free. Because now it's like when you work 2 jobs, if one job's bothering you, it's okay. You have your other job. And so I love that. And there's just, it seems to me like we're only scratching the surface of the amazing things that are available to you. And you also are very balanced of, you know what, I'm not trying to pitch you Disneyland or some paradise, but you're going to build, and you are building kind of all the resources people need to answer their questions. How can we support you? How could we help you? How do we grow your organization?
So for me, the most important is the number of people we have there. So how you can support is not supporting me or my organization. It's supporting all of us by being there. Every single person being there, for me, it's like the most important thing. I can have.
What if we don't want to be there? What if we're not going to move back, like you said?
No, of course, most
I'm
of
not
the
going to go
people.
put my place on the market tomorrow and move back.
Exactly. So the other ways to support are, of course, to follow us on social media, to visit our website, to share some, like this podcast and everything about this situation, to share it, to make it something real, not just a fantasy, as you said, to make it something like a trend, the beginning of a real trend. So talk about it. You can visit our website, see some news. For the people who can donate, you can donate to support this movement. And of course, if you have in mind like companies or institutional donors who are able to donate more for bigger projects, that's even better. We can get in touch. All the contacts are on our website, the-return.co, CO, not CIM.
I actually went and I had gone to the return, and it was something totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the-return.co.
Yes, exactly. So it really depends on everyone. Now we developed a survey about returning migration to identify what are the needs of the people who want to come back, what are their profiles, what are their motivations. So we are trying to get all this together and to be able in the future to have some more accurate data about returnees or people wanting to return, which is also useful for fundraising or for advocating in Iraq and outside in the Western countries. So you can engage in all these ways.
The other thing is there's been a lot of Assyrians, and we've had them even on the Assyrian podcast, who have moved back, and a lot of them are your friends. And,
yes.
This sounds to me like a systemic plan. And while I appreciate not being business-minded, I get the sense you are very savvy and you are very business-minded, and you are going to develop programs that are going to help people to make this process more efficient for them. I want to make sure that we support you, whatever that might be. To me, there's so many opportunities. Like if there's a huge Airbnb there, Assyrian owned, and you can always go, boom, that's step one. To me, that's like huge. And I don't understand why at these kinds of prices, with the wealth that exists with Assyrians in America, I don't understand why these are hard to do. You know what I mean? I feel like there's enough of us. If we each gave $1,000, what would happen? So we need to solve that. We need to figure that out. And that's just not the US, that's Australia, that's Canada. But we have to also feel like where we're giving it, we can trust. And in talking to you, I feel you're very trustworthy. And to me, it's actually an honor to be able to support you. You're the one that is bringing the blessing to us. We're not going to give you anything. We'll support you. If we give you money, we give you whatever you need. But when we give, it's actually better for us.
It's for yourself. Yeah, it's for ourselves, all of us as a community. It's not for me. It's taking time from my life, but because I like it, because I believe in this cause. But it's not helping me or helping the return. The return is helping the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would it mean for Assyrians in Iraq to see other Assyrians moving back and contributing to your cause?
Like the local ones?
Yes.
It's very impactful. So for me, when I moved there 5 years ago, nobody supported me within my family, my own family and my relatives. So many thought I was crazy. Many said I will not be able to stand more than 3 months there, and then I'll go back to my comfort in France, because they thought that it's an ideal world outside Iraq. So it has an impact. Every single returnee has an impact on maybe 5, maybe 50, maybe 200 people around him or her in their circle, in their network, human network. So for me, that's the case. For example, I have many cousins who are more or less close to my age, and they double think about emigrating now. Before, they were convinced that immigration is the only solution for all Iraqis, not only Assyrians, by the way. Not anymore. Probably a little because of me, because I moved there and I'm showing them with consistency after 5 years that I'm still there. And that's my priority in life, to be there and live there. So it's a message. Every single returnee is a message for people there and also for people in the diaspora, to make them understand that returning is possible. Life can be good there too. And for people in Iraq, it's also a message to make them realize that we also have good sides, good things in life, in our lives in Iraq, and that the life abroad is not that perfect. It's not as perfect as you imagine.
They're not going to resent Assyrians for all coming back in droves?
What do you mean by resent?
They're not going to be bothered by it?
They still are sometimes, and they still tell me it's easy for you to come back because you have this second citizenship.
Okay.
You have this passport in your pocket. So for a few months, I didn't know what to answer to that, because that was true. It's somehow we are unequal in this, unequal. So now I tell them, first, having a second citizenship, it takes at least 10 years of your life. That's the cost of the second citizenship. It's not money, it's life.
Or you're born somewhere else.
Yeah, which is also, someone paid the price, your parents.
Absolutely.
Usually for this. That's the first answer. The second thing I answer to these people is, since I have this second citizenship, I feel responsible for my community there, because I may be able to do a few more things and I should do them. For me, it's mandatory for me to do this. I'm enjoying it, but for me, it's a mission, it's a duty we have, since we have the privilege of having this second citizenship.
I also think that if your organization can do what you want to do, then these are problems you're going to solve. And as Assyrians from diaspora move, instead of being a challenge maybe in some ways because of their extra privilege, I said privilege in quotes, but their extra privilege of having the second citizenship, they might say, great, we're going to come and we're going to build that infrastructure even better for the current Assyrians who were born there, and maybe more will be born there, because ultimately you don't want to have a country full of just returnees. You want to have a country of Assyrians that enjoy it and have kids there and live there, not leave. So I realize the complexity that you're dealing with, and that's why, even though this interview was supposed to end a few minutes ago, I'm just aching with more questions. So I will ask you now the last question, okay?
Perfect.
It's the question we ask everybody who comes on this show. If you could say one thing to all Assyrians everywhere, what would you say?
I think it's also written in the Bible. It's come and see. That will be the first step. Come and see. And then you decide what you want to do. But at least coming is already a huge decision. To see there, even 1 week, even one weekend, 1 month. Where if you do that, you will think again about this situation. You think again about maybe your own life. So yeah, that will be this. Just come, give us a call. We're gonna have some drinks, the coffee. We're going to the Nadi, and we'll discuss about everything. There is an alternative. Life is not just what we believe it is. It can be so many other things, and all the decisions we make in life are legitimate. Like the choices we make are legitimate. If you want to focus on your career, it's fine. If you want to focus on your community, it's fine. If you want to lose your language and your identity, it's fine too. But if you're interested in this, just at least come.
I love it. Could they call you if they want to come, but they don't know how to fly? They don't know all these things. Who's going to help them with travel, figuring that out?
Actually, travel is the easiest thing to do. You just go on to any website and you write Phoenix, Erbil, Chicago, Erbil. You're there. Okay. It's 1 or 2 transit, and then and really easy. But of course
they can reach out to the return,
of course,
and you all will work through some of that with them.
So we have our social media, we have our website, a WhatsApp number, emails. So just reach out.
Sometimes these small movements have a way of becoming gigantic.
It's the domino effect.
That's right.
Or the butterfly effect. You choose the one you prefer, but completely.
And I feel that from you. So we at the Assyrian podcast have your back, and we're going to do what we can to support. And we thank you so much for your time.
I'm thanking you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure. It's a unique experience. It was not expected at all, but I really appreciate this, and I appreciate what you do with the Assyrian podcast. So, yeah, we'll probably have some updates maybe every 6 months or every year
Anytime.
about this. So
I hope I'll see you in Iraq soon.
I think we will.
That's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure you tune back in for our next episode of the Assyrian podcast.